So again, we're going to continue to go over the review. We did a good amount of it yesterday. We're going to do the rest of them today. So looking at number 2. How can I tell if the ordered pair is a solution?
You
Plug in the 1 into what? X, and plug in the 3 into Y. So we're going to do one equation at a time. So starting with the first one, I have 1 minus 3. What's 1 minus 3?
2.
Negative 2. So does negative 2 equal negative 2?
Yeah.
Yes. So it works in the first equation, but we always have to check both. So I'm going to plug in the 1 into X and the 3 into Y. So I have 2 times 1, which would be 2. 2 plus 3? 5. Does 5 equal 5?
Yeah.
Yes. So is it a solution?
Yes.
Yes. So for these types of questions, you have to show the work. Show me that you plug them both in. Either say, no, it's not a solution, or yes, it is a solution. But I need to see your work. So make sure you plug it into both equations. We good with these? All right, let's look at 13. So here we need to solve by graphing. So we graph one equation at a time. So looking at the first one, is it in my slope-intercept form?
Yeah.
Y equals mx plus b. Yes. What's my m?
4.
4. And what's my b?
0.
0. So what's the first point I'm going to put on my graph?
0 at the
On the y-axis, I'm going to put a point at 0. Now, how do I do the slope of 4?
You go up 4 to the right one.
Perfect. 4 is like saying 4 over 1. So my rise would be 4 and my run is 1. So I go up 4 to the right 1. I can put a couple points if I want. I'll go up 4 to the right 1 and then connect the dots. So that's my first graph. We need to now graph the second line. So with the second one, what's my slope?
-4.
-4. And what's my b, my y-intercept? 8. So what's the first point I put on my graph?
8.
8. I put a point on my y-intercept, the b. Now, how do I do the slope of -4?
Go down 4 to the right.
Oh, awesome. Go down 4 to the right 1. We always go to the right. The positive or negative just tells us if we go up or down. So we go down 4 to the right 1, down 4 to the right 1. Once we have a couple points, bless you, we can connect our dots. Now our solution would be where?
The point where both of them intersect.
The point where both lines intersect. So what point would that be? 1, 4. So 1, 4 would be my answer. All right, let's take a look at 15. We started 15, but didn't get to finish. So let's graph the second one. We already graphed the first one. We're going to do the second. What do I need in order to graph the second line here?
To make it y equals.
I need to make it y equals mx plus b, so I'm going to subtract the 5x. So I have 2y is equal to -5x plus 3. What would I do next?
All of them by 2.
Divide all of it by 2. So I divide everything by 2. So I have y is equal to -5 over 2x plus 3 over 2. What's my slope here?
-5 over 2.
-5 over 2. And what's my b?
3 over 2.
3 over 2. Makai, you have a question? So I'm going to put which point first on my graph?
3 over 2.
3 over 2, which is like 1.5. So I'm going to go up 1.5. So that would be my first point. With the slope, which direction would I go?
To the up.
So you could either go up and to the left or down and to the right. But if it's negative, you want to go down, and you always go to the right. Just if your slope is negative, make sure your line is decreasing. So I'm going to go down 5. And to the right too. And connect my 2 lines. This one's a little bit harder to see because we have fractions, but where do you think our 2 lines intersect?
Negative 1, comma
1 comma negative 1. Remember, x and then your y. My x is at 1 and my y is at negative 1. So 1 comma negative 1. So next we are solving using substitution. So substitution, I either need an x equals or a y equals. Do I have that in number 2? Yes, I have x equals. So what do I do with the x equals? Plug it into x. So I have 2 times x, which is our negative 2 times y minus 1. So I plug that into the x. Everything else stays the same. Minus y is equal to 3. What do I have to do next? Distribute. So what's 2 times negative 2y? Negative 4y. What's 2 times negative 1? Negative 2. Minus y is equal to 3. What would I do next? Combine like terms. What's negative 4y minus y? Negative 5y minus 2 is equal to 3. What would I do next? Add 2 to both sides. So negative 5y is equal to 5. And then what? Divide both sides by negative 5. So y is equal to? Negative 1. So I found y. What do I need to do next? Which equation do you want to plug it into? Sure, we can plug it into the top. Just make sure you're plugging it into y. So I'm going to plug negative 1 into y. So I have 2x minus negative 1 is equal to 3. What would I have to do first?
Add the 2 negatives.
What do 2 negatives make? A positive. So that would be plus 1. So it's 2x plus 1 is equal to 3. What would I do next?
Minus 1 on both sides.
Subtract 1 on both sides. So 2x is equal to 2. And then what?
Divide by 2.
Divide by 2. So what does x equal?
1.
1. How would I write my answer?
1 comma negative
1 comma negative 1. Perfect. Always your x and then your y. What would I have to do first for 9?
Plug in the y.
So I already have y equals, so I take what y is equal to and plug it into y. So I have 2x minus 3 times 4 is equal to 0. What would I do next? Distribute or just multiply. So it's negative 3 times 4?
Negative 12.
Negative 12. What would I do next?
Add 12 sides.
Perfect. Add 12 to both sides. Got to get that x all by itself, so we add 12. Let's move it to the other side. What would I do next? Divide both sides by 2. So what does x equal? 6. So x is equal to 6. What do I have to do next? Do I have to plug it in?
No,
I already know what y is, so I don't have to plug it in here. If you did plug it in, if we plugged it into the first one, you'll get 4. But just save yourself the work if it already gives you one of the answers. What would my answer be?
6 comma 4.
6 comma 4. Awesome. So number 12, if this question said solve with substitution, we have to use substitution. Remember, we either need it to be x equals or y equals. Do I have one of those here? No. So I have to make one of them x equals or y equals. How do I do that? Which equation would you think would be easier to make x equals or y equals? So that's solving with elimination, which you could do that if the directions say solve using whatever method. But this one, the directions I think said solve using with substitution. Same from the last page. So we're just going to use substitution to practice. But that would work. You'll get the same answer. It just depends on what the direction says. Which equation do you think would be easier to get to be either x equals or y equals? Why the second one? Because I already have a y with the coefficient of 1. So I wouldn't have to move it and then divide. It's already just y, but I still have to move it. It's because I need it to be y equals. What can I do to get it to be y equals? I can do that. I can subtract 4x from both sides. So negative y is equal to negative 4x plus 4. Still don't have y all by itself. What do I have to do next? Divide all of them by negative 1. So I change the sign of everything. So y equals 4x minus 4. So now that I have y equals, Marco, what do I do next? Plug it in. So I'm going to plug it into y in the first equation. So I have 3x minus 2 times y, which is 4x minus 4, is equal to 3. So I just took y and plugged it into the y in the other equation. Now we want to solve. What do I have to do to solve? Distribute. What gets distributed? The negative 2. Be careful because that negative is attached to the 2, so both things get distributed. So it's negative 2 times 4x. Negative 8x. And what's negative 2 times negative 4?
8.
Positive 8. So plus 8 is equal to 3. What would I do next?
Add like terms.
Combine like terms. So it's 3x minus 8x. Negative 5x. What else can I do? Subtract the 8 and move that to the other side. So we want our numbers on one side, the variable on the other. What's 3 minus 8? Negative 5. What can I do next?
Divide by negative 5.
Divide both sides by negative 5. So what does x equal?
1.
1. Perfect. Negative 5 divided by negative 5 is 1. So x is 1. What am I missing? Y. How do I find y? Sure, we can plug in x into the top equation. So I have 3 times 1 minus 2y is equal to 3. So I plugged it into the x in the top equation. What would I do next? So 3 times 1 would be 3. What else can I do? Minus 3 on both sides. So negative 2y is equal to 0. And then what?
Divide by negative 2 on both sides.
Divide by negative 2. So y is equal to 0. So my answer would be what? How do I write the answer? 1 comma 0. Always your x and then your y. All right, so the next page we're solving using elimination. So elimination, we need it to be the same number but opposite. So looking at number 2, which variable do you want to eliminate? Why? Why? Perfect, because they're already the same number but opposites. So I'm going to combine my like terms now. What's 2x plus 5x? 7x. What happens to the y's? They cancel. And what's 5 plus 16? 21. How would I solve for x?
Divide by 7.
Divide both sides by 7. So what does x equal? 3. Perfect. So x is 3. How do I find y? Plug 3 into the first equation. It doesn't matter which equation we plug it into. Just make sure you're plugging it into the correct variable. So I have 2 times 3 minus y is equal to 5. What would I do next?
Multiply the 2 and the 3.
So 2 times 3 would be 6. So 6 minus y is equal to 5. What do I do next?
You subtract the 6.
Subtract the 6. So negative y is equal to what? What's 5 minus 6? Negative 1. So what does y equal? 1. Perfect, because we would divide both sides by negative 1 and get that positive 1. How would I write my answer? 3 comma positive 1. Let's look at 3. Which variable do we want to eliminate in 3? The x's or the y's? The x's. The x's are already the same number but opposite, so they already eliminate. So I'm going to combine my like terms. What's 3y minus y? 2y. What's 10 minus 2? 8. How do I solve for y? Divide by 2. So what does y equal? 4. Perfect. How do I find x? Plug it into what? Sure. We can plug it into the top equation in what? Plug it into the y. Because it's y equals. So we're substituting that into the y. So I have 2x. 3 times 4 is equal to 10. What would I do next? I'm going to multiply first. So 2x plus 12 is equal to 10. Now what do? Now we subtract the 12. So 2x is equal to negative 2. And then what? Divide by 2. So what does x equal? Negative 1. How would I write my answer? What was y? Negative 1 comma 4. Y was 4. So let's take a look at 10. Do I have a variable that'll cancel out right away? No. So I have to make them cancel out. Remember, we need the same number but opposites. So what can I multiply to get something to cancel here? Which one do you want to cancel, x's or y's? Let's pick one first. Let's cancel out the y's. So I have a 2y. How do I make the other one a negative 2y? Multiply the bottom equation by negative 2. So we have to multiply everything in our bottom equation by negative 2. So my new second equation, I'm going to write it down here, would be negative 4x minus 2y is equal to, what's 19 times negative 2? Negative 38. I'm going to rewrite my first equation right below it just so we can see. So I have x plus 2y is equal to 20. Do my y's cancel out now? Yes. So y's cancel. So let's combine our like terms. What's negative 4x plus x? Negative 4x plus x. Negative 3x. That's equal to what's negative 38 plus 20?
18.
Negative 18. Now how do I solve for x? Divide both sides by negative 3. So what does x equal? 6. So x is 6. How do I find y? Plug it in. We can plug it into the top one. So I have 6 plus 2y is equal to 20. How would I solve for y? What do I need to do next? Subtract 6. So 2y is equal to 14. And then divide by 2. So what does y equal? 7. How would I write my answer? 6, 7. 14. Which variable do you want to eliminate? Sure. Let's pick the y's. I don't think one's easier than the other here, so let's just pick one. So I need these to be the same number but opposites. How can I do that? What do you think I have to multiply to get them to be the same number? Perfect. We multiply the top one by -3 and the bottom one by +5, because that'll make them a +15 and a -15. Awesome. Sometimes it happens where we have to multiply both. Am I just multiplying the y's? No. Make sure you multiply everything in that equation by the same number. So my new first equation, what's -3x times -3? +9x. What's -5y times -3? 15y. And what is -7 times -3? +21. Now let's multiply the second one. We're multiplying everything here by 5. So it's -4x times 5. -20x. What's -3 times 5? Or -3y times 5? -15y. And -2 times 5? -10. Now do our y's cancel? Yes. So y's cancel. Let's combine our like terms. What's 9x minus 20x? -11x, perfect. And what's 21 minus 10? 11. How would I solve for x? Divide both sides by -11. We got to get that x all by itself. So since it's being multiplied by -11, we divide to get rid of it. So what does x equal? -1. How would I find y now? Plug the x into the x. I'm going to plug it into the first one. So -3 times -1 minus 5y is equal to -7. What would I have to do first to solve for y? Multiply -3 times -1, which would be +3. What would I do next? Subtract the 3. So -5y is equal to -10. And then what? Divide both sides by -5. So y is equal to? What's -10 divided by -5? 2. Perfect. How would I write my answer? -1, 2. Awesome. We're good with this. Perfect. Let's look at 19. So there's going to be one word problem on the quiz tomorrow. And you can solve it either way, but the important part is coming up with the two equations. So this says the sum of two numbers is 22. The difference is 6. What are the two numbers?
Did you say the answer?
No, how did you come up with that?
Oh, I just kept guessing.
Mathematically, how do you think we could come up with that? Let's see. Let's call our numbers x and y. So what does the sum mean? Adding. So x plus y is equal to 22. What does the difference mean? Subtracting. So if the difference of the two numbers, we would say x minus y is equal to 6. Now that I came up with two equations, you want to solve using substitution or elimination? Probably elimination. Why? Because the y's cancel. The y's are already the same number but opposite, so they cancel. What's x plus x? 2x. And 22 plus 6? 28. We divide 2 to get that x all by itself, so what does x equal? 14. How would I find y? Plug in the x. So I have 14 plus y is equal to 22. Subtract 14, so what does y equal? 8. So the two numbers would be what? 14 and 8. All right, let's say we have 40 apples and bananas. There's 5 more apples than bananas. How many of each fruit do we have? So let's come up with an equation. You can do it in your head, but let's come up with an equation. So let's call apples A and we'll call bananas B. So what do you think the first equation I can write would be? If we have 40 total, what is it? A plus B. A plus B is 40. So we have 40 total. We have 5 more apples than bananas. So the second one, I would have to say bananas plus 5 is equal to apples. So whatever the amount of bananas we have, if you add 5 to that, that would give us our number of apples. Now that we have 2 equations, how would you want to solve? Using substitution or elimination? Substitution. Because I have an A equals, I can take that and substitute it into what? A. So I'm going to say B plus 5 plus B is equal to 40. Now what can I do next to solve? Add like terms. So B plus B would be? 2B plus 5 is equal to 40. Then what do I do? Minus 5 on both sides. So 2B is equal to? 35. And then what? Divide both sides by 2. So B is equal to? 17 and a half. So we have 17 and a half bananas. The numbers didn't really work out here because I made it up in my head. But that's how we would work it out. How do I find the amount of apples that I have? So I would take the amount of bananas and plug it into B, just like we would solve normally. So I would have A plus 17.5 is equal to 40. Subtract 17.5 from both sides. So how many apples do I have? 22.5? Yep. Yeah, we don't have half an apple or half a banana, but that would be her answer here. All right, let's take a look at number 1. How can we solve? So you want to solve using elimination? Okay, that works. So we're going to multiply everything in our bottom equation by -1. So that would make this a negative y is equal to negative 3x minus 4. I'm going to rewrite my first equation right below it just to make it easier for us to combine. It is helpful when you are organized. So with these types of questions on the quiz tomorrow, make sure you are organized. What happens to the y's? They cancel. So what am I left with on the left side? 0. What's negative 3x plus 3x? 0. They cancel too. What's negative 4 minus 7? Negative 11. Does 0 equal negative 11? So what would my answer be? No solution. We could have also solved with substitution since we have a y equals and a y equals. We could take what y is equal to and substitute it into the other y and solve that way. You'll get the same answer. Just if it says solve using a specific way, make sure you follow the directions. If it says solve using any method, pick whatever you like. So looking at number 8. Do you want to solve using substitution or elimination? Elimination. Which variable do you want to eliminate? Sure, let's eliminate the x. So we need the same number but opposites. How can I make them the same number? Awesome, multiply the top one by 2. Because we have a negative 8x, we need a positive 8x. So 4x times 2 would be 8x. What's 3y times 2? 6y. And then 17 times 2? 34. So now let's combine our like terms. What happens to the x's? Cancel. What's 6y minus 6y? 0. What's 34 plus 34? 68. Does 0 equal 68? So what's our answer? No solution.